On today's show, the LA Clippers go down 2-1 in what was a disgraceful performance, totally overshadowed by Kawhi Leonard's lack of health, lack of form, and the team and the fans' lack of confidence, and what can happen going forward based on that health. Going to be talking about the game and more and the current situation on today's Locked On Down in the Series Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA sports, and NBA playoff content. I go live after every playoff game to talk about it. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to just give me every single one of your thoughts. This game was a rough one. Mavericks win it 101-90, and to be honest, that stat line is a little generous for the Clippers. We were down by as many as 17 in the fourth quarter, and man, where do I even begin? We were actually down by as many as 21 at one point of the game. This was a complete disgrace. This was a complete disgrace of a performance. I wanted to see a response from the team, an emotional one that involved some fight. And we saw a little bit of fight, quite literally, from Terrence Mann and Russell Westbrook. But they both scored. They both did not even make a shot. And the rest of the team didn't have much fight to make up for it. You know, there's nothing else to talk about besides Kawhi Leonard right now. There is just nothing else to talk about. There's nothing that's relevant from a Clippers side more than that. Kawhi Leonard did not look even close to himself in this game 3. Not even attacking much. Not even commanding the ball. Not even asking for the ball consistently throughout the game. He's barely touching the ball. And defensively, it might be the biggest thing that sticks out. His rotations weren't sharp. He's not moving quickly at all. He's not getting to 50-50 balls quickly. There was one loose ball where usually when there's a ball in the air, Kawhi Leonard will always be the hand that gets up securing the ball, that ends up securing the ball. And there was one play where there was a loose ball after Derrick Jones kind of fumbled that alley-oop. I thought he was going to get there. No, he didn't. And he was just losing the ball, turning it over carelessly. We never could get him going. And when he came out halfway through the first quarter, I was like, okay, this might be just a new minutes pattern for him. But mind you, me saying new minutes pattern in Game 3 of the NBA playoffs, that's extremely problematic. And it wasn't a new minutes pattern. He legitimately was injured, and they were managing his minutes. He played 25 minutes in the game and shot 7 times. 4 for 7 from the field, 9 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 turnovers, which was second on the team. Kawhi was horrific. There was one point where when he turned the ball over in the second half and he just walked back on D, I was like, yeah, get him out of the game. Like, get him out of the game. I can't stand watching this anymore. I admire him for trying if he's injured, but you know, I wouldn't lie to you guys and say that like I'm okay with what's going on right now. Like this is very frustrating for all the fans. You know, I get it's frustrating for Kawhi, but you know, he's got 50 million good reasons why it's not that big a deal. And look, I'm not trying to say that he's not pissed about the situation. He absolutely is. He wants to be there. He wants to win, but I just think the fans, like, I feel more bad for them. I'm sorry. I just do. We've had to be subject to what we ended up thinking was going to be a championship era of Clipper basketball. It was finally going to happen when we got this guy. And, you know, we've seen one playoff game with a full sold-out crowd that he's played in front of us, and that was game 2, and he didn't even look 100%. And now he doesn't look 100%, and we've lost 2 games because we had to try to work him back. And again, I still stand by the decision to play him. People are acting like we could have won the series without him. I truly don't believe so. And I think you see that in the minutes that Kawhi wasn't in this game, those other 23 minutes of the game, our offense is not good. And the reason why I say it's a disgraceful performance is that everyone outside of Zubats to me was not good enough. And there's one particular player that everyone's going to push back on because of his stats. Actually, two. One on the bench, one in the starting lineup. Unfortunately, I don't get fooled by stats. And unfortunately for you, I don't see the game with such an offense-first lens. And unfortunately for you, and when I say you, I mean the people that are going to push back, because they're going to be naturally some, especially the fanboy section of one of them. I just don't see the same things that you're seeing clearly. I see things differently, and I'm more than happy to break it down for you. But before I get into James Harden and Norman Powell, to let the cat out of the bag, Paul George, man. I don't really know what else to say. I've defended him all season, saying that I believe he's going to show up in the playoffs. Game 1, he was good but not great. Game 2, he was not good enough. And Game 3, he was absolutely horrific. It started with some of his reckless shot selection, taking 2 quick threes that were unnecessary in the first quarter. And then he starts getting in foul trouble. Gets his 3rd foul in the first half of a game in which Kawhi Leonard is out. So now you're making James Harden basically do everything. And boy, oh boy, was that some of the roughest offensive basketball I've ever seen in my time as a Clipper fan. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about Harden and that process in a second. But Paul George, like, you've completely let your team down. Your foul trouble. He did it twice, by the way. The same thing I talk about when Paul George gets the step on his defender and then he pulls it back unnecessarily and makes it a tougher shot for himself. He did it several times. He's clearly just not serious. I'm tired of hearing about Podcast P. I'm tired of hearing about Paul saying he's going to be on his bully-ish. It doesn't matter. Even if we win this series and he plays great the rest of the way, we're so far away from the Denver Nuggets. I hope that you Clipper fans are watching them play. We are so miles behind them. It's like not even close. Even with Kawhi, we're so miles behind them. I don't care what you say about regular season matchups when we played them. When I watch the Clippers play basketball and I watch the Denver Nuggets play basketball, I see one team that's old, slow, and relying on stars that are a little past it. And I see another team that has the best player in the world, amazing complementary pieces, 2 fantastic point-of-attack defenders, and a starting lineup that meshes like those that have won championships in the past. And they are one of them that has won a championship in the very recent past, last year. So Paul George can turn this around, but he deserves no pass at all. There's no elbow P. There's no going to the basket. And the funny part is when he did go to the basket, he got us good shots. But the foul trouble is really what's infuriating to me. You took yourself out of the game. And then when he did come out of the game, James Harden, he actually had a very good stretch in the second quarter where he had 3 threes in a row. And it was actually 4 threes in a row because the last one he made was at the end of the first. But what I was really scared of was that whole first half, even when Paul George was in the game, it was a lot of just James Harden ball, system ball. And I don't mean a good offensive system. I mean James Harden calls for a high ball screen and dribbles for 15 seconds. He'll have the shooter make one pass at the end of the clock and give a grenade to a teammate. That's terrible offense. That's not good basketball to me. And even though James Harden had 4 threes, and by the way, besides that stretch where he was 4 for 4 from 3, for the rest of the game, he was 3 for 9. He had 5 points when we were already down 19 points in the fourth quarter, and I already knew the game was over. And then he had 3 free throws at the end of the third when, I don't know how he got that foul. It was just really bad defense by the Mavericks. But credit to him, he got to the line. My point is those points, his stats, are not nearly as meaningful as people are saying. And his defense, I mean, they were putting him in the action a lot. And when he was guarding Luka and Kyrie, outside of one possession, I think he forced Luka to take a step back. And then he had 3 decent possessions on Kyrie. So 4 in the game. But besides that, it was awful defense by him and Norman Powell. James, he cannot stay in front at the point of attack. Every single time they put him in the action, they get a good shot 90% of the time. When Kyrie Irving is trying to ISO on him, he turns the corner super easily. And that was part of the reason why Gafford and them were getting so many lobs. When we can't stay in front of the ball, the untrained eye will blame Zubats. If you can't stay in front of the ball, what's Zubats supposed to do? Let Kyrie Irving and Luka walk in for a layup? Because James Harden was getting beat a lot. And then in transition, he doesn't, and I've seen this all season, he doesn't do anything to stop the ball, commit a hard foul. he will literally just jog back. And there was several possessions of transition defense where he didn't pick up the ball. He has no active hands. He doesn't do anything to slow down the player with the ball. And then rotation-wise, some of them were just extremely weak. I'm not excusing his performance because he was efficient and had 21 points in a loss. I heard people saying, well, Harden's playing the best out of everyone. Who cares? I think Zubac has been the best personally, both ends of the floor. Harden second. But who cares who our best players have been when we're down in a series? Like, you don't get more points because you're playing less bad than other stars. You don't. Not in my book. So I think the whole team was a disgrace. Russell Westbrook off the ball is a disaster. Playing alongside Harden and playing as a shooting guard, essentially. He brought the ball up like literally 3 times the whole game. It's terrible. And I talked about Westbrook. He needs to have more discipline. After going 0 for 2, that should be his last 3 of the game. He kept shooting because the crowd's getting in his head, baiting him to do it. Then he lost his cool completely and got ejected from the game. And now, I hope he doesn't get suspended for pushing PJ Washington, pushing that ref. But it was a complete disgrace. 0 for 7 for Russell Westbrook. 1 point. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks, and 2 turnovers. I will say his defense on Luka was fantastic. And then Paul George had 7 points. 7 points. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover. I will say something about his playmaking, though, in a sec. 3 for 11 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. The fourth quarter was completely irrelevant. We tied 23-23 against them, but it was completely irrelevant. The first 3 quarters where we lost the game. And coming up, going to be talking about more about the elephant in the room, the health of Kawhi Leonard. Coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada. That'll change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. This segment is sponsored by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking the same thing this week. If we lose this series because Kawhi Leonard's not healthy, he needs to go. He needs to go. It's just not fair to the fans, and there's no point of wasting another year praying that this guy's going to stay healthy. The thing is, therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, back to talk about Game 3. Mavericks winning at 101-90. And I think one thing, I want to give the Mavericks a little bit of credit before I continue my slander sesh on the Clips. Their defense has come a long way. I said that before the show, before the series started, and all you Clipper fans that wanted to ignore it, I don't know why. It just shows that a lot of you just are too biased and don't want to actually watch other teams play basketball and be honest with yourselves. They have improved defensively a lot. And PJ Washington, for all the Clipper fans clowning him and saying, we're supposed to be afraid of that. It's not about being afraid, and I do think if Kawhi was healthy, he would be giving him the business a bit. But there's no secret that he's a much better option than what they had in the past, and that he's proven to everybody that, in Charlotte, that no one talked about him, that he can be a contributing role player to a championship kind of contending team. Or should I say a conference finals contending team, because I don't believe that the Dallas Mavericks can beat the Nuggets. I know Mavericks fans are not going to like that comment, but I'm going to stand by 10 toes. If I don't think the Clippers are going to beat the Nuggets, I don't think the Mavericks are going to beat the Nuggets, because I had the Clippers winning the series, and I still do if Kawhi's healthy. But the Mavericks, the Nuggets just play such better basketball to me than any other team. The Mavericks still play too ball-dominant, heliocentric for my liking as well with Luka. And I think Luka, he's not even having that great of a series. I think defensively, he's held his own, but I got to give credit to Terrence Mann and Russ defensively, and Zoo. They all did such a good job on Luka. Such a good job. He hasn't shot well in like any game. He was 7 for 25 in this game. 7 for 25. 3 for 14 from 3. So again, and I think a lot of it was that third quarter and the first quarter, too much ball pounding for the Mavs. Luka shot a lot of tough shots. 3 for 14 is crazy. It means 14 of your 25 shots are threes. Those are bailouts. And I think Terrence Mann has done such a good job of navigating the screens. And when Luka tries to snake them, he still finds a way to get back in front and put a hand up on Luka, and he's not falling for the pump fakes. But Luka, I'd be lying if I said his presence still wasn't extremely impactful. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals for him. 5 turnovers, though. But again, I talked about it with Nick, and that's what scares me is like Luka hasn't gone nuclear yet. And if he does, will we be able to withstand that with the improved defense of this Dallas team? Now, it doesn't matter unless Kawhi is playing. I don't know what else to say. There was one stretch in the second half where Kawhi had 2 dunks, right, when we started to come back, because what happened was in the second quarter, we couldn't get stops. And when you don't get stops, you're playing half-court basketball. And that was leading to James Harden trying to get Derek Lively in the action. And this was the stretch that really changed the game for me. The Mavericks switched Derek Lively onto Harden and were comfortable putting P.J. Washington and Maxi Kleber on Plumlee or Zoo. And it just became Harden isolation for 20 seconds and then drive and kick or shoot. It was really, really frustrating to watch. And the thing is, sometimes he would still create a good shot. But what people don't understand about me and about basketball is it's not just all about that one possession. It adds up when you have possessions on possessions that one guy's holding the ball so long, and then you get the ball at the end of the clock for a very high-pressure shot. The Mavericks shot 16 more shots than the Clippers in this game. I want you guys to know that. 16 more shots and only 1 less free throw. You know what that means? The possession battle was won. We had 19 turnovers to their 8. So as I say, if you're going to turn the ball over 17 plus times, don't expect to win a road game in the playoffs. And the possessions were slow, really slow. And when you play that kind of basketball, and you always play in the half court, those spot-up shots for role players, they're going to feel that much bigger. I say that with LeBron. I say that with Luka. Because, I'll give you an example. When we played Luka 3 years ago, and he was dribbling the ball so much and doing everything, I remember in the fourth quarter when Maxi Kleber and Dorian Finney-Smith had not touched the ball in so long, I could predict they were going to miss before they even shot the ball. And I'm not saying that necessarily happened with any specific player where I predicted they were going to miss when they got the ball. But for example, when Terrence Mann is only shooting 3 times the whole game, 1 per quarter, that's not a player that's in rhythm. When Russell Westbrook is sitting in the corner, even though he's a point guard watching James Harden do his thing, and then eventually gets the ball for a 3, that's not ideal. That's not making guys better. So I don't think even though Harden made 4 threes and he was the only one producing, he was the only one that had the ball so long. He played 10 plus more minutes than any other player on the team, and he's 5th in the team. I'm sorry, no, he's 5th in the playoffs right now in time with the ball in their hands. Not usage rate, straight time with the ball in their hands, he's 5th. And I'm just going to say this, if we have Harden on the ball that much, we're not going to win a championship. It's not what we asked of him. It's not what we brought him in to do. We brought him to support those other guys, and they haven't shown up. So, yes, Harden has been the best of the big 3. There's no doubt. But it's not an achievement. It's not an achievement to be the best of players that are underperforming. Kawhi Leonard, he looked a little better in that stretch of those 2 lobs and whatnot. But when he caught that second one, he had to, brace his fall. And when he came out midway through the fourth quarter, I was just like, if he's not healthy, we're done. There's no X's and O's to talk about. If he is not healthy, we are done. And he didn't look healthy in any way. Short, didn't even shoot 1 3. Didn't shoot 1 3. Got to the line, twice? 1 for 2 from the line? No, 1 for 1 on that and 1. That's another thing, right? The Clippers shot so many less shots in the paint than Dallas. I'm pretty sure we shot less than 20 shots. Actually, I'm 100% sure we shot less than 20 shots in the paint. I think Harden got to the paint the most. I think he actually did a good job of getting by Luka when he was attacking him. But the lively stuff, no. He got the step one time and got swatted from behind. He was running into traffic and turning the ball over. So nobody on the team got in the paint frequently enough, and that's been a problem all year. And it's because we're old and slow. And look, all these older teams around the playoffs right now, They're starting to see that it's a new league, and you're out of your prime. LeBron, you're out of your prime. Steph Curry, you're out of your prime. Kevin Durant, you're out of your prime. And you know what? Maybe our guys are too. James Harden sure is. Russell Westbrook sure is. It's a new wave. And you know, unfortunately for us, Dallas, you can argue, is that. Hopefully we can keep them at bay for one more year and say, you know what, next year we'll make it out of the first round. But if we don't have Kawhi, it doesn't even matter. So that's all I'm watching next game. All this other stuff is irrelevant. Although, actually, no, it's not irrelevant. We'll talk about, actually, no, it's the perfect time right now. I mean, Paul George, man, you know, to lay an egg like that. And I will say our second half process was better because Paul George was in the game and we were actually giving him the ball and not just playing Harden ball. And, you know, it's again, I'm going to say this again. It's so funny that the Harden fans are bragging about the second quarter when we got outscored 36-18. And you better believe Harden is part of that. Like, you better believe he is. If you're not, you want to just lie to yourself because he had 4 threes. He had a great game. And 4 threes in one stretch, he had a great game. No, I disagree. Paul George had a worse game, though. And he has no excuse. Harden is not expected to do this. Paul George, he's expected to be better than this. Much better. No elbow P. No taking it to the basket. But the third quarter, what was happening was they were showing on the screens with PG. So he was able to get 2 on the ball, throw the ball to Zubats, and we were in 4-on-3 situations. So the ball was moving more, which is good. And that's why he had 3 assists in the third quarter and 5 in the game. He actually tied for the most assists in the game, believe it or not, with James. So that stretch was actually pretty decent. And we actually outscored the Mavs in the third, 26-24. So there you go. The third quarter, when we were running through Paul George, it wasn't actually as bad. He started playing a little better. It was just a little too late for me. That's crazy, though, because, yeah, that second quarter was just brutal. We were down 13 after the second quarter and then 11 going into the fourth. But they quickly made a run in the beginning of the fourth and kind of just buried us. And when we made mistakes, they made us pay. So you got to give them credit for that. But again, moral of the story, 2-3 hasn't been good enough, hasn't been healthy enough yet again. Without that, we have no chance. Derek Lively, by the way, want to give him a shout out. He really changed the game for the Mavs. His lob threats, his rolling to the basket and finishing, and his defense switching 1 through 5 on Harden, as I said, stagnated our whole offense. The role players, the Gaffords, the Josh Greens, they all played better at home. And then coming up, going to talk a little bit more about Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. And Norman Powell. Going to be talking about all 4 of them coming up. I got to tell you a little something about LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. I have been hired on LinkedIn, but I have never hired on LinkedIn. But I'll tell you, I got a job there, so I think it's a one-of-a-kind job board. But LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's talk about James Harden and Russell Westbrook. I mean, I actually have talked about James Harden enough. My moral of the story is his defense was atrocious, especially in transition and on Kyrie Irving. But, like, do you expect Harden to guard Kyrie? That brings me to Ty Lue, actually. One, no Tice. Plumlee was awful. He was fumbling the ball. He was offering absolutely nothing. He played 10 minutes in the game, and his stats look better. Add him to the Norman Powell James Harden club if his stats make him look better. 7 points on 2 for 2 shooting and 3 for 4 from the foul line. He was in 10 minutes. He was just not good. We need to play Tice, or else those non-Zoom minutes are extremely brutal. Ty Lue also allowing James Harden to switch on to Kyrie Irving over and over again. Like, look, the Mavs know that that's food. Same with Norm. We got to stop switching James on and Norm on to Kyrie and Luka. Just, you know what? James on Luka hasn't been too bad, but no Norm on Luka and neither of them on Kyrie. Hedge and recover. That's it. So hopefully he can get the other guy shooting shots. Because to me, when the other guys shoot shots for Dallas, it's a win in my opinion. And this is the saddest part, Clipper Nation, is that the Mavericks shot 45% from the field We shot 46. We shot better than them. They shot 26% from three. We shot 34.5. So we shot better than them from three, too. And then they shot 74% from the foul line. We shot 80. We shot better than them in every category. Every category. And we still lost in a commanding fashion. Which tells you that this Dallas team is different than the past. They actually defend now. Derek Lively had 13 points on 6 for 8 shooting in 15 minutes. Talk about impactful. And then Gafford had a much better game too. 8 points and 4 boards. But, yeah, Plumlee was a disaster. Amir Coffey has given us nothing outside of game 1. A donut in 18 minutes on 0 for 2 shooting. Absolutely nothing. His defense was okay. So he needed to be better. But I'm not going to go off about Amir Coffey. He's a role player. He's getting his first taste of playoff experience. But Norman Powell, I'm not fooled by that stat line. He had, how many points did he have in the fourth quarter when it was garbage time? Let's take a look. 7 points. So the rest of the game, when the game was actually in the balance, he had 14 points. And yes, he shot well. 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 3 from the line. But his defense was awful. When he gets switched on other guys, he doesn't rebound. And the funny part is he still got 6 rebounds. But when he gets switched onto other bigger guys, he does not do a good enough job rebounding. And he has major tunnel vision. And we knew this. When he comes off that curl from left to right, and mind you, I think we should have definitely ran that more even when Harden was dominating the ball and Paul was out. He sometimes will drive when he turns the corner and he'll have the lob, but he doesn't feel comfortable throwing any passes off the bounce like that. Instead, he'll just try that jump, hope the big can get in the air, and then try to scoop it behind the big man's back underneath the basket on the baseline. That's his only pass. And it's very predictable. And at times, the big man will take him, but the guy that was guarding him will take the big man real quick and will deflect it. And there was another time where he got a turnover by not giving the ball up quickly enough and trying to, in the second half, trying to run into a guy and got an offensive foul. Again, it's not about, Norm played better than this guy. It's not about that. I don't think he played well enough to win. I think he made bad decisions and with tunnel vision. There was one time early in the game in the first half when he's like going 1-on-3 with no numbers and gets blocked. It's like, does every possession not count anymore in the playoffs? Like, is that a thing? And then Westbrook, look, he needs to keep better control of his emotions. He shouldn't have shot so many threes. He had a nice baseline cut in which the ball slipped out of his hands. He should have caught it. But here's what I'll say about Russ. When teams play drop coverage, they're not, the big man is still in the paint. So Russ being open for three doesn't do much. When teams blitz the ball screen or hedge the ball screen and you get Zubats in the short roll and someone has to step up, that's when Russ cuts baseline for that lob. So that's why he almost got more looks in that third quarter stretch when Paul was controlling the game, not Harden. And here's the thing. People are wondering, what was James supposed to do when Paul was out, when Kawhi was out? Listen, if you think that no possessions or one possession is good basketball in the playoffs, then by all means, do you. I have a 36-18 difference in the second quarter to prove my point. Even when we got good shots, it is not good process. It's so comfortable for the defense. Nobody's touching the ball. I do believe when coaches say, and I'm a coach that preaches this, and after I record this, I have to go coach my kids. The ball has energy. You got to get it to move. You can't just make it stay in one place. Like, for me, let's get more Norm curls. Let's get Russ bringing up the ball more, and then we throw it to James and then get into our action. Let's get James to throw the ball, maybe go set a little flare screen or bring somebody up, then he gets the ball and gets into a side pick and roll. Because every time he gets the switch, he'll back it out for 10 seconds to like survey the floor. So it's not good process in any way. And he had 5 turnovers that no one's talking about. 5 turnovers. So, and he should have had 6. There was one that he lost the ball, then Mason Plumlee picked it up and got stripped. He should have had 6 turnovers. So, yeah, too much ball pounding. 21 points for the second straight game, quite frankly, and not good defense. 21 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 5 turnovers on 7 for 13 shooting and 5 for 8 from 3 for Harden and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Again, his stat line looks great. I'm not falling for it. Zubats, in my opinion, the best player on our team for 3 games. He has played well on both ends. We were actually switching 1 through 5 in the second half, and he was guarding Luka and putting a hand up and doing a great job. 19 points, 8 rebounds. He even blocked him one time on 8 for 11 shooting. I love the way that Zeus played in this series. And that's all the stat lines for us. But Kyrie, man, he took over the game in the second half. Like, he started to get going. He started picking on weak defenders, started making tough shots. That fall away he made to make it 91-70 was ridiculous. So he's performing, and he's playing solid defense too. But I would like to see us try to attack Kyrie Irving more with Paul and Kawhi. I feel like we haven't done that at all. So we got to try to do that more. And make him guard James. I mean, I think he's done a better job guarding James than Luka. So I guess maybe Luka is James's matchup to abuse, and then the other two maybe Kyrie. Kyrie had 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists to go along with 8 for 17 shooting and 3 for 7 from 3. Mavericks fans, let me know in the comments. You think Kyrie's been your best player in the series? Because you can make an argument for it. But yeah, the fourth quarter was done, absolutely done. We were down by 9. When James Harden made that 3 to begin the fourth, like with 9 minutes left, we were already down 19 points. I knew we weren't coming back. Our transition defense was appalling. And our rotations at the rim were so bad. No one's trying to get physical. No one's trying to take a charge. Nobody's trying to commit a hard foul at the rim to prevent a basket. So it's just terrible, man. It's really just terrible. What was it? There was another thing I want. Oh, Zubac's post up. That's another thing. What would you do? What would Harden do without Paul and Kawhi in the game? How about throw the ball to our big man that was dominating in the post in game 1? Like, there's so many alternatives. Like, the answer should never be 1 to 2 passes, and that's it. And just watch one guy stand in one spot and do all that. Even if it creates a good shot with 4 on the shot clock, the process is bad. And I'm going to stand on it. Kawhi, without him, we got no chance. James Harden, I think he's doing what James Harden does. That's all I'll say. I don't think he's playing bad for what James Harden does. I just don't believe that that's conducive to winning championships, and I stand on it, and I've stood on it the whole year. I'm not going to waver because of fanboys in the comments. Russell Westbrook should not be playing shooting guard. Russell Westbrook was brought in. Russell Westbrook's role was initially to run units without Harden. Then we realized, look, we can't just stagger them because that means that Russell's only going to play 15 minutes or even 12 minutes because we play Harden so much. So now they share the court. And I'll tell you what, it looks awful. It looks awful. It looks like Harden has the ball all the time and Russ is in the corner. That's all it looks like. And then when Russ has the ball, Harden just stands in one spot. His only utility is a catch-and-shoot 3-ball guy, and he was 0 for 1 when he shot it. It's like both of them are so flawed off the ball. That's the problem. But Westbrook, he's a better cutter, better screener, just less of a spacer. So he has some pros to Harden off the ball, but they're not ideal, either of them off the ball, and that's a problem. So Paul George is the biggest disappointment was Paul George. No matter what, he is the biggest disappointment. I mean, it has to be better or else, it's time to pack it up for all of them. And we got to go a different direction. I mean, everyone's saying, oh, Ballmer's scared to open up the new stadium without stars. Who wants to see stars that are going to underperform and not be available when it counts? I want to see a team that's fun again. And this team is not very fun to watch. I mean, it's never been fun to watch this season to me. Even when we were winning, it's not fun to watch to me. I have a specific basketball lens, though. I don't like a stagnant, ISO, slow team. I don't like that. I like watching ball movement. And it's not just the Clippers. A lot of teams don't move the ball like that. Dallas doesn't move the ball like that very well. They just have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving right now and a younger supporting cast. And that's funny because the Clippers should have tried to get a supporting cast like that at the trade deadline and get a little younger and athletic, and we didn't. And we're paying for it right now. So it's do or die in Game 4. It's our season on the line. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I went live after the game and exploded. This was mild. This was after a night of sleep to calm down. I exploded last night. And then I'm talking about every game of the playoffs on the channel as well. And Locked On Clippers, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Go over to Locked On Mavs and say, we ain't done yet. Just go over to them. Anyway, have a great one. Peace. Keep the faith. I still think this series we have a chance. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.